The night before my wedding, I should have been glowing with joy, champagne bubbles dancing in my veins. Instead, I was on the cold tiles of the bathroom floor, my phone clutched in a white-knuckled grip. On the screen was a short, grainy clip that felt like it was tearing my world apart, frame by devastating frame. It was my fiancée Claire, the woman I was supposed to promise forever to in less than 24 hours, kissing someone else. And not just anyone, my maid of honor. My first instinct was to scream, to shatter the mirror, to throw my phone against the wall until it was nothing but fragments. But a voice, Claire's voice, echoed in my head, a constant refrain from our years together. Don't make a scene, Anna. So I didn't. I swallowed the rage, the betrayal, the heartbreak, and I kept silent. The next day, I walked down that aisle. I felt like a ghost in a white dress, a hollowed-out version of the bride I was supposed to be. I smiled for the photos, my cheeks aching from the effort. And when the officiant asked if I took Claire to be my lawfully wedded wife, I looked into the eyes of the woman I knew no longer loved me. And I said, I do. But what I didn't know was that someone else saw it all, not the fake smile, but the truth beneath it. Every flicker of pain I desperately tried to hide. Her name was Evelyn Ross, CEO of Ross Enterprises. She was known for being cold, brilliant, and untouchable. She was also, coincidentally, Claire's worst enemy. Claire had once worked for her and had tried to sabotage her company on the way out. Their rivalry was legendary. So when I caught Evelyn watching me from across the reception hall, a knowing, almost predatory smirk on her lips, a shiver ran down my spine. I felt like prey. Later that night, as the music swirled and the champagne flowed, she approached me, moving with a panther-like grace. "Congratulations," she said, her voice smooth as silk, though I can't decide if I should offer my sympathy instead. My heart hammered against my ribs. "I don't know what you're talking about." She just smiled, a slow, deliberate curve of her lips. "Oh, but I do," she murmured, taking a delicate sip of her champagne. Her eyes flicked over to where Claire was laughing a little too closely with my maid of honor. I saw the way she looked at her. "You deserve better, Anna." Her words struck a chord, one I didn't want to admit was there. "And what would you know about what I deserve?" I shot back, my voice sharper than I intended. Her smirk softened into something unreadable, a mixture of pity and challenge, more than Claire ever did. She leaned in, her perfume a subtle, expensive scent, and whispered words that would stay with me forever. "If she breaks your heart, come to me. I'll show you what real loyalty feels like." The weeks that followed were a slow, agonizing death of a marriage that never truly began. I tried. I really did. I tried to hold the crumbling pieces together, but Claire's lies just multiplied. I found secret messages on her phone, noticed late-night calls that were hastily ended when I walked into the room, and smelled perfume on her clothes that wasn't mine. The breaking point came one rainy Tuesday night. I finally confronted her, my hands shaking as I held up the evidence I'd gathered. She didn't even have the decency to deny it. "I'm sorry, Anna," she said, her voice chillingly calm. "You were safe, comfortable, but I need passion." Safe, comfortable. The words were like daggers. Something inside me, something that had been holding on by a thread, finally snapped. I didn't scream. I didn't cry, not yet. I just turned and walked out the door of our home, the dress I was wearing still wrinkled from our fight. Tears started to fall, then blurring the city lights as I walked without any destination. Somehow, my feet carried me to the gleaming glass tower of Ross Enterprises, and there, as if by fate, was Evelyn. She was standing by her sleek black car, the city lights reflecting off its polished surface, looking as though she'd been waiting for me all along. She didn't ask what was wrong. She just took one look at my tear-streaked face, my disheveled state, and said softly, "Get in." She drove me to her penthouse, a stunning space high above the city, with marble floors and windows that stretched from floor to ceiling, revealing a breathtaking panorama of the skyline. She didn't pry or push. She just handed me a cup of hot tea and let me cry. I cried until I had no tears left, until I was just an empty, exhausted shell. When I finally quieted, I looked up to find her watching me with a gentle intensity I'd never seen before. "Why are you being so kind to me?" I whispered, my voice rolled. "You hate Claire." A flicker of something hard crossed her face. "I do," she admitted without hesitation. "But you're not her. You're the only thing about her that was ever worth admiring." That night, she didn't try to kiss me or take advantage of my vulnerability. She just held me, not with passion, but with a steady, grounding strength. And for the first time in months, I felt completely and utterly safe. I moved into one of her guest rooms, telling myself it was just until I find my own place. But days bled into weeks. I started joining her for dinner. I found myself laughing at her surprisingly dry jokes. I'd sit beside her while she worked late, the quiet hum of the city below us a comforting soundtrack. She was showing me, not telling me, what loyalty felt like. Then, one evening, as we were watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and rose through her massive windows, she turned to me. "Anna, I have a proposal." I let out a bitter laugh. "If it's a business deal. I think I'm a little too broken to negotiate right now." "It's not business," she said, her voice serious. "It's personal." She took a step closer, and her gaze was so intense it felt like she could see right into my soul. "Be mine. Marry me." I froze, completely stunned. "Evelyn, you don't even love me." A small, soft smile touched her lips. "Don't I?" she asked, her voice a low murmur. "I watched you walk into a fire for someone who didn't deserve an ounce of your warmth. You're strong, you're loyal, you're brave. I can give you the life you were denied, the respect you deserve." It wasn't a flowery fairy tale confession. It was a declaration of intent, sharp, honest, and terrifyingly real. And in that moment, looking at this powerful woman who saw me for who I was, not for who she wanted me to be, I said yes. When Claire heard the news, she stormed into my new office at Ross Enterprises like a hurricane. "You're marrying asterisk? Her asterisk." She screamed, her face contorted with rage. "Do you really think she loves you? She's just using you to humiliate me." I looked her right in the eye, and for the first time, I felt no pain, no weakness, just a calm, quiet strength. I smiled. Maybe she was at first, but the difference between her and you, Claire, is that she never lied to me about it. Just then, Evelyn appeared behind me, as composed as ever. She placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Funny, Claire," she said, her voice dripping with cool amusement. I thought you'd be happy that someone is finally giving Anna everything you couldn't tea. Claire's face just crumbled. Seeing her like that, I didn't feel vindictive. I just felt free. Months later, standing beside Evelyn in a sleek white suit, I finally understood love doesn't always start with a lightning bolt of romance. Sometimes it begins in the wreckage. It's born from pain and built on a foundation of brutal honesty. Sometimes it's about two broken women finding the missing pieces in each other and deciding to build something new. Something real. After we said our vows, Evelyn kissed me gently and whispered in my ear, not revenge, just redemption. And maybe that's exactly what it was. Not a fairy tale, but something so much better. It was real. Thank you so much for watching my story today. If you enjoyed it, I'd be so grateful if you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. See you next time.